Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wholesale.fm podcast. We are the original voice of wholesale. I'm your host, Kevin Gallagher, and joining me on the podcast today is Roland Pharand, and he is the sales director for a company called Natural Emphasis Limited, and we're going to be talking a lot about their product lines, their products, some really interesting stuff in store for you today. So, Roland, I want to say thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Hey, thank you, Kevin.
You're very welcome. So tell me a little bit about the company, about Natural Emphasis. Who are you? How long have you been in business? Your background, anything that our buyers are going to want to know.
Well, we've been in business for 17 years now, working hard to continue for the next 17 and on. So we are established. We're an importer and distributor of smoking and pure hemp rolling papers and accessories here in North America. Our products are produced in Barcelona, Spain by Michele Costas, and we have a very wide product range, and we're continuing to grow.
That's fantastic. So you did touch a little bit on your products. So tell me a little bit more about what type of products you have, and give us a little bit of detail about them.
Yeah, well, so what we do are rolling papers, cigarette rolling papers, and accessories. We carry mainly two lines, the smoking brand and the pure hemp. With the smoking brand, it's a brand that's globally known, sold in more than 80, 90 countries throughout the world. The brand itself has been around since 1879, produced in Spain for over 100 years now. And the smoking brand of papers offers an extremely wide array of papers, from different paper types to sizes, and then into the accessories, rolling machines, filters, filter tips, things like that. The extensive line of paper is basically, we have some of the thinnest paper on the market. We have very unique size formats with 1 1/4 slim. I mean, the 1 1/4 is not unique, but 1 1/4 slim, we're the first company. The smoking brand was the first to have this size format. They're always innovating on sizing and size formats and paper types. This year we've launched a new 100% flax paper, which is also our thinnest paper in the line. And then we go all the way up. The flax papers are running at approximately 11.5 grams per square meter. And we go up, we have papers as thick as 19 to 20 grams per square meter. Now that's a very standard run-of-the-mill paper, thick for some people, but it's a sort of a very mainstream thickness. And then the thin papers obviously is where the market is going. We also, in the pure hemp line, we have the pure hemp standard, which is our original pure hemp paper. We've been marketing since '95. A couple of years ago, we launched that in an unbleached version.
Now, let me ask you this, in connection to what you're talking about with the rolling papers. What are some of the uses for a thinner paper versus a thicker paper? Why would people prefer to use a thicker versus a thinner, or a thinner versus a thicker paper?
From what we hear from consumers and retailers, with a thicker paper, it's generally people smoking lower-end tobacco, or people that are just used to having a paper. I mean, thin papers really weren't on the market as thin as we have, prior to 96, 97. Many people are just used to having, a little bit of a heavier weight paper. New roll-your-own consumers tend to find it easier to roll with a thicker paper. Then when you get to the thin papers, there's a real preference with the thin papers for people that are looking for the flavor of their tobacco. And you're seeing now that there's more of it's almost a connoisseur type thing, or, an aperitif, where people a lot of hand rollers it's not just the low end of the market anymore. It was for years. If you were hand rolling, it was typically a class or a demographic thing. Now it's people hand roll. North America, you'll find people looking for organic tobaccos. People are looking for flavored tobacco, not meaning cherry or flavor additives, but a nice tasting high-end tobacco. And people want to taste the tobacco and not the
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that. I know from pipe smoking, I want to really taste the flavor of what I'm smoking rather than something else. And especially when you're doing a rolling paper, I can greatly understand that just from smoking a pipe.
Yeah, that's the thing. When people are purchasing, a higher end tobacco and paying a little more for it, they're doing so for the pleasure of the tobacco.
Now, are you adding any new products this year?
Well, I mean, aside from the 100% flax paper that I mentioned earlier, which we did launch this year, we are also expanding and fully launching our smoking brown paper. It's an unbleached, chlorine-free, ultra-thin paper, and we have that available. We have a sort of it's a family within smoking, if you will. So we carry it in a single wide, a 1 1/4, a 1 1/4, 300 value pack, king size, on a roll, so you can make it as long or short as you wish, and also unbleached filter tips.
Now, what are the hottest trends in your industry right now?
Well, I think going back to what I stated earlier about the higher end tobacco, I mean, in the tobacco industry in general, there's several trends right now. But if we narrow it down really to the RYO category and looking at rolling papers, it's certainly the trend is to look for higher end papers for your higher end tobacco, and the whole unbleached category is something that is really really blossoming right now and expanding, and consumers want these unbleached papers.
Fantastic. Now, if I'm a retailer and I'm looking to buy the type of products that you supply, what is the real advantage of me as a buyer contacting Natural Emphasis Limited and buying product from you?
Well, it's kind of twofold. I mean, one is that we offer a globally recognized brand. While it may not be as recognized in North America as it is in other countries throughout the world, it is growing and it is becoming more recognized. We're an established company, and so we're not, haven't been around for only a year or two, as well as the brand has extensive history. But what the branding itself, having so many SKUs under one brand, such as smoking, the retailer can really get one of the SKUs within the smoking brand that is sort of dedicated or aimed towards their customers. So if they're in a market where a single wide paper is very predominantly sold, then they can choose out of our single wide papers. If they're looking for 1 1/4, they can do that. If they're looking for thick paper in a certain size. So we really cover all or most of the bases, from, again, going back to the whole array of very many size formats and very many paper types in each of those size formats.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we go from hemp paper, flax paper, we have wood pulp paper, blends, textile blends, and it allows the retailer to really specifically choose a paper that will correspond to what their consumers are asking for.
Yes. Now, what's the best way a buyer can contact your company? Is it best to go through the website or best to go through like what they see in a catalog?
Well, if retailers are looking for our products, they typically would go through one of their distributors. We deal with a number of distributors, more than we have time to list here.
Mm-hmm.
But they can certainly call us. We can get them set up with the distributor in their area. Now, all the distributors don't carry our full array, so there may be an advantage or a reason that they'd like to deal with us directly, and we're more than happy to do that as well. And typically, we love to talk to people, on the phone or face-to-face at trade shows. They can reach us toll-free at 888-476-5543. They can also visit our websites, purehemp.com and rollyourown.com, which is roll-your-own.com. That way they can have a little bit of product knowledge, look through the items before making the call, and see what we have new and have sales going on.
That's fantastic. Now, your industry is a smoking products industry, and that is one right now that I see a lot of changes happening in, some really interesting developments. So where do you see your company, where do you see the industry in like a year or in 5 years?
Well, I think that within a year we will continue to do what we're doing. In 5 years, I would see that we are probably, we'd like to expand the brand into North America, basically making it a little bit, the brand awareness, increasing that, and just continuing to do what we're doing. We're not looking at taking on new products. We just focus on the one, the thing that we do. We may expand into some more accessories. I mean, we do carry some rolling machines and whatnot. I also see us partnering with, certain companies to expand our brand and to help theirs, perhaps involving, tobacco companies that are interested in having papers with their roll your own tobacco. So just becoming a little bit more mass market.
That's fantastic. Is there anything that we haven't talked about today that you'd like to get into the podcast before we go bye-bye?
I think that's about it, Kevin. I mean, we touched on most of the bases, and people know how to get a hold of us and how to check out our product. And like I said, we have that toll-free number, and people are always happy to. We're always happy to have people call.
Yeah, give them that toll-free number one more time, so in case they didn't get a chance to write it all down when you gave it the first time, they can finish writing it down.
Certainly, Kevin. It's 888-476-5543.
And I thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast today. Folks, you were listening to an interview with Roland Pharand, and he is the sales director for Natural Emphasis Limited. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kevin. It's been much appreciated.
Stay tuned for upcoming interviews with the industry's leading movers and shakers. Wholesale.fm and the Voice of Wholesale talks directly with suppliers, manufacturers, liquidators, show promoters, trendsetters, and more. This is Kevin Gallagher, the voice of Wholesale.fm. Stay tuned for more great podcasts, and remember to check out our sister site, GetThatWholesale.com, the Internet's largest wholesale directory. You can contact me for more information on how to advertise or for an interview by calling 888-358-7822. Once again, that's 888-358-7822 at extension 707. Thank you.